Hey friends, you guys can tell the Christmas decor is in here now, and today I'm going to be walking you guys through a couple of really quick and easy card making hacks to mass produce your Christmas cards and do it quickly. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. Alright, so for today, I'm using the Christmas Silhouette stamp set. This recently came out in my line, and I really love it because of the silhouette images. They're super easy to use on your Christmas cards and have one stamp to really complete a card nicely. And I like that it's got 3 different images, so no matter how you celebrate Christmas, it works out for you really well. And I've made these to coordinate with the Simon Hurley Create stamping foam, which we're going to be using to create our quick and easy backgrounds, and they fit perfectly on top, which is really awesome. So as you guys know, with the stamping foam, one thing that I like to recommend is to attach it to an acrylic block. So I'm going to grab one of my Simon Hurley Create acrylic blocks. You can literally use whatever acrylic block you have. These were just made to fit it nicely. I'm going to grab a little bit of mint tape. I kind of curl it up like this and place it down at least 2 pieces like this, and then we can line it up and press it down, and that adheres it nicely. I found the mint tape was the best to do this. Some adhesives are too strong and some are too weak, but this is just perfect. And then this is going to allow us to have a solid surface. So it's going to give even pressure all the way across when we stamp it into our stamps, rather than kind of pushing with our hands and having it be a little uneven. Alright, I want all my backgrounds to be stamped in the exact same spot so that we can line it up in the same spot in the MISTI a little bit later on. You guys will see how it works. But I'm going to take my Make Art Station with this. I'm going to grab a piece of my stark white cardstock, and this happens to be a stamp positioner you can buy separately, but it's got magnets in it and it's pretty thick as well, which is really nice. So I'm going to take this and place it in the bottom corner. You can place it in whichever corner you'd like, but you just want to make sure that you line it up with the edges of your cardstock. And you'll see why this is important in just a second. So I'm going to set that off to the side and work on inking up my background first. Now, some people don't realize you can actually just use this stamping foam as a clean stamp, just a solid stamp like this. So I'm going to start off like that and use a little bit of ink on it. I'm going to create kind of a nighttime sunset sky. So we'll start off with a little bit of Over the Moon. Then we'll go in with a little bit of Rosy Cheeks. And of course, you guys can simplify the color schemes as you're doing this too, if you don't want to add a ton of color to it, if you're in more of a hurry. And then we'll go in with a little bit of Game Over. And I always recommend doing this in a swirling motion where you're using the stamping foam. That's going to give you the most even inking all the way across. And then last but not least, we'll do a little bit of Dark Midnight Snack right at the top edge here. And if you need to with some of these colors, you can always go in between with a blending tool to make sure that they blend nicely together. Then I'm going to bring in my fine mist bottle because I want a really light spray of water. I'm going to hold it pretty far away and just do a little continuous mist there. I find that that gives a really nice fine mist of water, not globs or anything because we don't want it to lose any of the detail. Then we're going to bring back in our Make Art Station, and this is where that stamping tool comes in handy, because I'm going to take my stamping foam, press it into that corner like this. It's going to help line it up, and then we'll press down onto our cardstock. Give it some good pressure, and then lift up off the surface. And there we have our first background. This one, super simple. It has no detail in it. You'll see it is offset from the corner, but we'll fix that later when we cut these out. Now, of course, if we want to do something simpler, we can just go for a simple kind of Christmas nighttime sky. We'll start off with a little bit of Breakup Blue. Bring in a little bit of Remember Me, which is a darker kind of teal color there. And again, rubbing our ink pad on to make sure we avoid any harsh marks. And then last but not least, we'll go in with just a little bit of Midnight Snack at the top to kind of darken up that color. Then we'll add our water to it, and if we want it to be more of a watercolor look, you can add more water to it to kind of saturate that color. Grab my cardstock and place it down right in the corner. It doesn't matter necessarily where it's lined up on the Make Art Station, it just matters that it's in the corner in the exact same spot. And then we will go in and stamp it all down. And when we lift it off, you get more of a watercolor impression there. When we add more water to the surface, you can see it kind of blends a little bit and gives us that cool effect. All right, now if I want to do a pattern in the stamping foam, I'll go in with a background stamp. Here I'm using the Stitched Snowflakes background stamp, which has a couple different peel aparts, so you can use the images separately, but we're not going to use those today. We'll put all of the different pieces in here and then we can go in and do our stamping. So I'm going to grab my heat tool. We're going to heat up the stamping foam for about 10 to 15 seconds, moving our heat tool all along so the whole foam gets nice and hot. And once that's done, we can go in and press our stamping foam in there to get the impression and all of our detail. All right, then the same thing. I'm gonna start off with a lighter color. Here I'm using a little bit of sidewalk chalk, and then I'll bring in a little bit of breakup blue. I'm gonna use a couple lighter colors for our kind of snowy background. And then last but not least, once again, we'll go in with a little bit of Remember Me right at the top just to darken it up a tiny bit. Spray our background down, and then bring it into the corner there, make sure everything's lined up nicely, and press it down. It's almost like a little stamp press, which I think is really cool. So there's our background. We got that really beautiful snowflake effect. All right, and if you want to keep this super simple for mass producing, we can just go in with one color. Here I'm going to use Clear Skies, and it'll look just as good in the end. We'll really quickly go over it with our ink pad there. And I also want to show you guys, so we'll go in with our paper again, quickly line this up in the corner. And then I want to show you that you can actually just take your stamping foam without spraying it too. Line it up in the corner, stamp it down, and it'll still give you a great impression. So you don't always need to give it that spray. I just find that sometimes it gives a more vibrant effect, but look how simple and quick that was with just one color. So then I'm gonna bring in my stamp set. You can see I've used this one a lot. The one that I showed you in the beginning was just a sample, but I've been loving this stamp set. So I'm gonna start off by pulling out the snowman image, and we'll pull out one of our backgrounds here to help line this up. I'm gonna place it down in my MISTI. We'll place the magnet down too. And then to line this up, I'm just gonna bring it in, and I line it up by looking at the bottom two corners. And since it's got that rectangle kind of base, all you need to do is just line it up with both corners and press it down in your MISTI stamping tool. All right, when stamping this, especially if you want to make it quick and dark black in 1 or 2 times, I'm going to go in with a little bit of VersaFine Clair. Usually I don't use pigment ink like this, but I want it to stay wet for long enough that it's going to give us a nice dark image. And this is my favorite ink to do that. I ordered it specifically for this stamp set. I find that it gives the best results. So we'll go in here. I'm going to press this down, give it some good pressure all the way across, and when we lift it up, it pretty much gives a solid image in one try. If you want to get some of those other little areas stamped down, we totally can go in one more time, and since it's in our MISTI and hasn't moved, it makes it easy to stamp it down. And look at that awesome snowman there. Never underestimate the power of these silhouettes because they're super simple to just stamp in black over a colored background, or you can go in and you stamp them with colors too, which is really fun. Now we're gonna set this off to the side and grab our other snowflake background that we've done. Now this is where that stamping at the beginning that lined up, where you might not have known what I meant, this is where that comes in handy. Because we have it in the exact same spot on our cardstock, if you've done 20 or 30 of these or whatever for your Christmas cards, you're able to go in the exact same spot on the MISTI then. So it's the exact same position of stamp, we're not moving anything. We don't have to realign it every single time then. We'll bring in our pressure. All right, and there we have those. And you guys saw how quick and easy that was. I love that I didn't have to move the stamp because lining it up with that stamp positioner on the Make ArtStation really helped us there. All right, so I'll peel out our nativity stamp, and then we're going to bring in one of the backgrounds that we've created. I'm going to place it in the corner again, so it's in the exact same spot. So if you wanted to keep doing the snowman, you totally could. But then I'm going to bring this in, and again, line it up with those bottom corners. They pretty much all have that kind of base to them, so that they're really super easy to line up. I love that they line up with the stamping foam perfectly. All right, and then again, we'll go in with our black pigment ink up our whole stamped image here, and then we will stamp it down and give our pressure. But look how nice and jet black that is. I think it's so super beautiful to have that dark image stand on top of whatever colorful background you've created. I don't know how many times I can say how easy this is. And then we can go in and stamp it down. And look how beautiful that one turned out too. And it's still perfectly aligned up with the stamping foam. All right, so now we've got all of these stamped out, and I think the coolest part about this is even if you're mass producing the cards, you can always switch up the colors in the background to make it really kind of fun for you still as you're creating all of them, and then they all turn out a little bit different. I think that stamping foam is super cool because you can switch out those textures. Now I told you guys I would tell you a secret to cutting these out because we stamped them like that. So all you need to do is go in with your Tim Holtz trimmer or whatever trimmer you have and line it up. Now I line up this stamped edge with this edge on the guide right here. That plastic guide really helps to line things up easily every single time. And then I'll go in and cut it down. And then if we line it up on that same spot as we're cutting, it's gonna give you an even white border all the way around the image. All right, and it's pretty quick to easily go in and do that with all of the backgrounds that I've created. I find that the guide on this trimmer is awesome, but you can also just go in and use a rectangle die if you'd like as well. All right, for this one, I'm gonna simply add it to a gray card base. Going to press that down, and then we'll leave a little bit of room at the bottom for a sentiment. And I'm gonna do the sentiment that says, wishing you and yours a wonderful holiday season and a blessed new year. And then we can use the grid lines to see if it's gonna be straight on our card, and if it wasn't, that's a good tip. The grid lines on the lid really are a telltale sign if your sentiment is gonna be straight on the card or not, and that looks perfect. And we can go in and stamp it down with a little bit of Jet Black Archival. I prefer this ink because it doesn't smear with any fingerprints or anything. All right, and there is the perfect sentiment for a Christmas card. I love this one, and now we can do the same thing with the rest. Here I've done the same thing on a white card base, and again, all you have to do is line it up in your MISTI again, and that sentiment is already there for you to stamp down onto your card. Super easy to do. Like I said, this is what makes a card really easy to mass produce, having everything already lined up. And last but not least, I'll do the same thing with this snowman, and I'm gonna use the same exact sentiment, you guys guessed it. I like this one for a really great Christmas card greeting. Press that down, and there we go. Guys, we finished some of our Christmas cards. Of course, you could do it with the other snowman too. I love how simple and easy these were with the trick with the Make Art Station, and also lining things up in your MISTI stamping tool to get a really easy background and focal point image. All right, guys, I hope you really enjoyed that video on how to mass produce Christmas cards and a few tips, and also a look at my new Christmas silhouette stamp set. I'll leave links to everything I use down below in the video description. Those links help support me, so I really appreciate if you use them. And also leave a comment down below on which of the images and cards I made today were your favorite from that stamp set. Give this video a big thumbs up and click that subscribe button down below to never miss another card making and crafting video like this one from me. Alright guys, I'll see you very soon and have a wonderful day. Bye!